Hey guys, it's Cody. I'm back for another video. I know it's been a while since I posted my last video. My last one was actually on Halloween, but yeah, I'm back once again, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my top 10 favorite movie sequels. I actually got this, well, I've had this idea to do this video for a while actually, and I just never got around to doing it. And then I saw one of my favorite YouTubers, Ball, he did a video where he talked about his favorite sequels, and that's when I thought, you know what, I want to go ahead and do this video. So this is going to be my top 10 favorite movie sequels. Now, I'm not going to be talking about any horror movies in this video because I am planning on doing a top 10 favorite horror movies, movie sequels. So there won't be any horror films in this video. And if you guys want to see Ball's video, I'll leave a link down below to his video. I really like his choices. Some of the films that he put on his list will be on my list as well. And he's got a really great channel, so I'll leave a link down below, and you guys can go ahead and check him out. But without further ado, I'm going to go and get into it. And the first movie I'm going to be talking about is definitely one of my favorite action movies of all time now. I think that this is definitely a perfect film, and I think that everyone can agree, and that is The Dark Knight. And like I said, absolutely amazing film, a perfect action film in my opinion. Heath Ledger's performance is just amazing in this movie. He really transformed into the Joker, you know. I remember I talk about this movie a lot, but as I've always said, you know, if I didn't know that Heath Ledger was in this movie, and if I saw this movie without knowing he was in it, I would not know that Heath Ledger was the Joker, because he really just became that character, you know. And of course, it may have cost him, you know, his life in some way, but it's still you know, it's still an amazing film, and I think everyone can agree it's definitely one of the best sequels. So The Dark Knight is definitely one of them. Now this next one, I think some people might consider it as a horror movie, but I consider it more of an action adventure film. But it is Jaws 2, the sequel to probably one of the greatest movies of all time. This is definitely a really great sequel. I really enjoy this one. You really get into you know, Chief Brody, Roy Scheider's character. You know, you learn more about his relationship with his wife. You also see both of his sons have grown up, and the movie kind of focuses more on his sons trying to, you know, one of his sons being trapped out in the ocean on the boat with a bunch of his friends, and the shark is going after them, the young boy, Sean. But I thought this was a really great follow-up to, you know, an amazing film, and I think it's one sequel that it does get its praise. I remember when it first came out, it did get a lot of praise for, I think it got like maybe, I forget how much money it made, but it did make a really great amount when it first came out. I don't know if it's really as big as it was now, but I do think I do think a lot of people enjoy this one, and I do as well. So Jaws 2, definitely in my list for my favorite sequels. Oh, and if you guys are wondering, this list is not really in any particular order, except for the last 3 movies, because the last 3 movies I'll talk about are definitely my top favorite sequels, and in the order in which I talk about them. But the rest of these are just in random order. The next one is Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. Now, I really enjoyed this one. I actually saw this movie before I saw the first one, Pet Detective, and I think I enjoyed this one just as much. It's one that comes on Cartoon Network a lot, and it's kind of more of a I'd say this one is more kid friendly than the first one, but there's a lot of really funny scenes in this movie. First off, there's one scene where the whole movie is Ace. He's trying to find a missing rare bat that's worth a lot of money, and the poachers. There's these poachers that have basically taken it away, and he's there to try and find the bat. And there's one scene where he's trying to follow the poachers without being noticed, and he's actually inside this giant, this robotic rhinoceros. And the air that he has circulating in it, because it's so hot, he's out in the middle of the jungle basically, and the air that he's circulating in it, it stops working. So he ends up starting to get really hot inside of it, and he ends up having to strip down completely naked. And then a family of just a family of, you know, a man and a wife, and then their 2 kids, a son and a daughter, come up to it, and they think it's a real rhinoceros, and they start taking pictures of it. And Ace has to get out of it because it's so hot, and he ends up crawling out of the rhinoceros' butt. And yeah, that's probably one of the funniest scenes in the movie. But yeah, Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, definitely one of my favorite sequels, and probably one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies. I end up watching this more than I watched the first one because I personally think that this one is a bit funnier than the first one. It's not a better movie, but I do think it's got funnier moments in it. Now the next sequel, I think a lot of people can agree, is a really great follow-up to a truly classic movie, but it's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now I was always a huge fan of the first 3 Indiana Jones movies. However, I was never a fan of the sequel, The Temple of Doom. My 2 favorites are, of course, the first one and then Last Crusade. I think that this is a very, very great way to, it's a great way to end the series, I must say. I think that the 4th movie was a bit unnecessary, but this was a great way to end a classic trilogy. You know, of course, you got Sean Connery, and they're playing, you know, Indiana Jones' dad, and I thought that they had really great chemistry, you know, together, and yeah, it's just a really, really good one. Really great sequel, and I think a lot of people agree that this is probably, their favorite sequel of the original 3 movies. Now the next one is actually a childhood favorite of mine, and it is Homeward Bound 2. And one reason why I really, really enjoyed this one is because I actually saw this one before I saw the first one. And I must say, I think I enjoyed this one over the first one. I think the first one, there's some scenes in it that got kind of creepy for a little kid to watch, whereas this one is all more fun. You know, it's basically, you know, the 3 animals, they're lost in San Francisco in this one, and they're basically trying, the dog Chance, he ends up getting caught by, you know, the dog catchers, and it's just a really fun movie and stuff. There's, you know, there's a lot of really great moments, and it's definitely a very worthy sequel to the original. And I'm not saying that the original is bad. I absolutely love the original, but I saw the second one first, and I think that Homeward Bound 2 is, I think I prefer it a bit over the original, but, you know, not as much. Alright. Now the next one is a movie that I've talked about before, but it's Addams Family Values, and I definitely had to include this one in because every year around Halloween time I watch the 2 Addams Family movies, and I watched them both back to back, and I think that this is a pretty great sequel to the original movie. In this one, Morticia is about to have a son, and you know, Wednesday and Pugsley, you know, they don't like that they're having a kid because they kind of feel, you know, a new baby's coming in, and the parents start paying really close attention to the kid, you know, the baby, and so Wednesday starts putting up plans to try and kill it. It's kind of messed up, but it does it in humorous ways. Like, you know, at one point they try to drop an anchor on top of him and stuff. You know, it's not as bad as you think. It's comedy. But so what the parents decide to do is they end up sending Wednesday and Pugsley to this camp called Camp Chippewa, and it's pretty funny. They end up getting Wednesday ends up getting into this play, and she has to play Pocahontas. And at the same time, the parents, they hire a nanny who turns out to be like a black widow, and they hired a nanny to take care of the kid, and Fester ends up falling in love with her and stuff. And it's just, I think it's a pretty funny sequel. It's pretty over the top, I must say. The first one is a far better movie, and this one is more funny, kind of goofy stuff. So I think that a lot of people might not like it because it's so different from the first one. But it was directed by the same guys, the same director, so it still has the same type of feel, and it's just it's a fun sequel. The next one, out of the 4 Tremors movies, I love all of them, but I must say Tremors 3 is definitely my favorite sequel in the series. I really enjoyed this one, mostly because this was actually the first Tremors movie that I saw. You know, I didn't grow up watching the Tremors movies, so when Tremors 3 came out, it was brand new when it came out, and I mean, it was brand new when I was younger, so this was the first movie in the Tremors series that I saw. Really enjoyed this one. I mean, it was my introduction to, Burt Gummer, Michael Gross's character. I liked his friend, what's his name? I can't think of the other guy in it, but I liked his character as well. And there's some really cool scenes. Like, of course, there's one scene where they get trapped in Burt's house, and he has to blow up his own house to escape the ass blasters, is what they call them in this one. And it's really a great movie. All the Tremors films are great, but I must say that Tremors 3 is definitely my favorite of the sequels. Now, up next is a sequel that I hear a lot of people say they don't like, and I think it's because this was made during a time when, if you have a popular character, you send them to New York. And there was so many sequels of different, like, killers and stuff like that, or different, movie icons, taking them to New York. Like you had Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan, or, Critters 3, but this one, I still have a soft spot in my heart for this one. It's Gremlins 2, the new batch. Now, I absolutely love the original Gremlins. It was one of my favorite childhood movies, and it's still one of my favorite movies of all time. Nothing can touch it. But I think that this was a pretty good sequel as more of a comedy type element. There's a lot of comedic elements, like, of course, the Gremlin, the main one, is talking in this one, which a lot of people, they don't like. Of course, Billy, he's working for this really, really weird guy, and he's friends with this guy on TV and stuff like that, and, it's basically Billy and Phoebe Cates' character just trying to, them trying to have a life in New York and trying to forget the past. There's a lot of different references to other classic movies from Warner Brothers. There's also a cameo by, like, Hulk Hogan. It's cheesy, but I enjoy it, it's not completely different from the first one. I think the first one is a lot more serious than this one, but I still think that this is just a fun sequel, I hear so many people say they don't like this. I've always enjoyed it for what it was. Alright, and now we're getting into my top two sequels that I must say are in my top favorite movies of all time. The first one I'm going to talk about is a sequel to one of my favorite Macaulay Culkin films. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of Macaulay Culkin, and the first one that I'm going to talk about is definitely one of my favorite movies, a sequel to one of my favorite movies of all time, and that is My Girl 2. Now, this one I think is a really great sequel. Basically, if you know the story of the first My Girl movie, you have Anna Chlumsky coming back as Veda, and she is trying to find out about her mother, and she ends up going to Los Angeles, where her Uncle Phil lives, and she's basically just trying to find her mother, and coming in as a woman. She's 14 in this one. I think she's she's 14, and yeah, this got a lot of this movie was made in the 70s, so there's a lot of 70s music. She's in Los Angeles, so everybody is dressing, like they did in the 70s, and it's very, very different from the sequel. I mean, from the original, I must say. A lot of people said that the original was kind of sad, and the second one, it's got a much happier ending. You really enjoy Veda's character in this one. I absolutely love Veda. In my opinion, My Girl is definitely my second or third favorite movie of all time. So when I knew that there was a sequel, I didn't know that there was a sequel to it until years later. When I saw the sequel, I really did enjoy it. I don't enjoy it as much as the first one, but I think it's a really great one. And a lot of people say that they prefer My Girl 2 over the original. And yeah, this is definitely one of the best movie sequels in my opinion. And finally, I think you guys can kind of guess what movie is going to be my number one. I've grown up with both of these two movies, the first and the second one. When I was a kid, I would sit around and watch them all day on VHS, and and the first one and this one are two of my all-time favorite movies. The one I'll be talking about is Home Alone 2: Lost in New York. And like I said, this came along as one of the movies of, taking a famous character in a movie to New York or Manhattan. But I think everyone agrees that this is a really great sequel. Some people might say that it's basically the first one done again. I really never saw it as this one. I thought that there was a lot more stuff going on in this one. Not that it's a better movie, but I love the the scenes of when he's in the Plaza Hotel, and he gets he gets all the free pizza and the awesome room, and he gets to ride around in a limo and stuff like that. That just looked like any kid's dream. Any 8-year-old kid's dream is to have a limo driver drive you around eating pizza and watching movies. And then when he goes to the giant Duncan's toy chest, the giant toy store in there. I remember when I was a kid, I always wanted to go to that toy store. It looked absolutely amazing, and I still do want to go there too. But yeah, I've always enjoyed this one, and I really also like the woman in it, the bird lady. I cannot think of her name. In real life, I can't think of the actress's name, but I really do enjoy her. I think I like her over Old Man Marley from the first one.